CBS Sports ranks a Duke basketball player as the nation's top defender, and defense is going to be really important for the Blue Devils in this new basketball season.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. It's so great to have you here with us today on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. And on today's show, I got to talk about CBS Sports releasing their top defenders in college basketball and giving some high praise to a Duke basketball player, what it'll mean for the Blue Devils going into the season. We'll also have two things I like, two things I don't like from Duke football's performance against Tulane this past weekend. And then in the final segment of today's show, we'll take a look around Duke athletics, give you some updates on some of the other sports happening around campus. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, make sure that you watch our show each and every day on YouTube. We're continuing to grow our YouTube audience, getting closer to 5,000 subscribers, and it's all thanks to you guys. A shout out to our everydayers. Let us know in the comments below if you are an everydayer. Always appreciate your support that you give us here on the program. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Instagram and TikTok, wherever you find Locked On Blue Devils there. And then follow us on X as well at LO_Blue Devils. You can follow me too at _JJ_Jackson_. Okay, so talking basketball here to open up today's show. CBS Sports, their own Isaac Trotter, who's a friend of this program, he's been on our show so many different times, was tasked with putting together a list of the best defenders in college basketball going into the upcoming season. And the way he broke it down, he was able to put 6 different buckets together of players. So point of attack defenders was one of them, jumbo utility guards, wing stoppers, versatile forwards, sturdy interior defenders, and elite rim protectors. So 6 different categories, looking into about 5 names in each spot. And for Duke, Maliq Brown comes in as the nation's top versatile forwards for this upcoming season on the defensive end. The definition CBS Sports gives for this: these players can guard 4 or 5 positions on the floor, depending on their matchup. They're helpful team defenders inside and out. I think that definition sums up Maliq Brown perfectly. So it's no surprise to me that Isaac Trotter put him in that position. And I love to hear that when you look across the sport, Maliq Brown is the guy that you think of when you're thinking about those top versatile forwards defensively. In Jon Scheyer's 3 years as head coach, the defense has been incredibly impressive for Duke year after year. There are stretches early on in the seasons where you could think back and look about, Duke needing to figure out some things offensively, but go back and look at a lot of those early games throughout the season. Duke's locked in defensively. It's never a big jump that they have to make throughout the course of the year on that end of the floor. Offensively, there's improvement that takes place, but defensively, Duke really hangs their hat on that end of the court. This past season, of course, Duke goes all the way to the Final Four, wins the ACC regular season, wins the ACC tournament championship, and Duke finished the year as the number 1 offense in the country, according to KenPom, and had the 5th best defensive rating in the country, according to the KenPom analytics as well. I mean, speaking really, really highly of that Duke defense, and Maliq Brown was a big reason why. I know that Cooper Flagg was as well, and let's not kid ourselves. What Duke was able to get at the rim with Kaman Malawach was awesome for this squad too. Tyrese Proctor got after it defensively. Con Knipple held his own, was underrated in that regard. And Sion James was with you walking all the way out to the parking lot, attached at the hip of the guys he was guarding. So a really great defensive team for Duke a season ago. But Maliq Brown was a massive reason why that Duke was so good defensively. Transfers in from Syracuse. This was his first season playing for Duke. If you recall, his sophomore year, the second year he played there for the Cuse, he was on first-team all-defense for the ACC. That's the 2023-2024 basketball season. And he had a really strong case to be in that department this year for the ACC if he didn't miss time. But, of course, the shoulder injuries that Maliq Brown suffered He played 26 of the 39 available games for Duke this past season. I love when the math works out perfectly there. So he missed a third of the year, basically missing those 13 games. And when people start to put together their lists and do the voting and all these things, it's just really hard if a guy misses that much time to put him on your all-conference teams in that department. But think back to some of those injuries that he sustained when Maliq Brown came back. Funny enough, it was always against North Carolina, the way the schedule worked out. Instantly, he's in the passing lane right away, able to make so many crazy deflections with his size and versatility, standing there at 6'9". His feet move like crazy, and his arms, like I said, they're just always in the passing lane, creating deflections and making it so much easier for Duke on the other end of the floor. Throughout his career, Maliq Brown has had 1.5 steals per game, which, given his position as one of those versatile forwards, is so impressive that he's able to put together that type of numbers. And I think that's why I've said on the show before, ultimately, I do think Patrick Gongba is going to be the starter for Duke on the interior. But if it was Maliq Brown, I would not be upset about that whatsoever because of what he's going to be able to do defensively. And regardless of if he stops or if he's that first man off the bench, Duke will be better on the floor defensively when Maliq Brown is out there because of what he's able to do. I think for the Duke defense, the question is, what do these freshmen look like on that end of the floor? Cam Boozer's going to have big shoes to fill defensively as one of the anchors for this team on the interior alongside Gongba, alongside Maliq Brown. We'll see what he's able to give Duke from a rim protection standpoint. It's not going to be at the level of Cooper Flagg. It's not going to be at the level of Kaman Malawach. But if he can hold his own, I think he's going to be a versatile forward. His body is built more in the Paulo Banchero type. I think he's going to be positive for Duke on that end. Also, when you look at the Blue Devils with their defenders coming in, excited to see what Nicholas Hemenia is going to be able to do as a freshman. And Dame Sarr, coming from pro basketball, playing there with FC Barcelona, out there on the wing alongside Isaiah Evans. And then the guards with Caden Boozer and Cameron Caleb Foster, that you're going to have to be able to get after it. And I think Dame Sarr will be able to do that for Duke. So they've got to make sure they're ready to go defensively early on in the season with these tough non-conference games so that when ACC play comes around, Duke can start to figure out some of the offense that typically takes a little bit longer to get to a position that you would like for it to be. But again, really high praise for Maliq Brown, the number one defender at his position in the entire country, and a big reason why Duke's defense as a whole will set the tone for what they're able to do this upcoming season. Couple of recruiting notes for basketball. We've reached official visit weekend here for Bryson Howard. Really excited about his recruitment. We've had Brandon Jenkins of 247 Sports on the show the last several weeks, and he's talking about how much Bryson Howard is soaring through the class of 2026 rankings. Listed at 6'5", the number 12 player in the country, number 1 player in the state of Texas. Howard is a 5-star, and Duke seems to be in a really good position to get a commitment from him. So hopefully it's a very successful official visit weekend here. We've already had a visit from Austin Gooseby. He was in town for Pro Devil weekend. And then also in the recruiting front, Duke soon is expected to have all of Cameron Williams, Darren Rippey Jr., Maximo Adams expected to make visits there to campus and to be around the Duke basketball program in the coming weeks. So it's really starting to pick up for this class of 2026 for Duke. We'll also see some visitors come through in the class of 2027 as Duke has started to make some of the initial contact with those guys. They've started to send out their first couple of scholarship offers, all those things. It's here. Basketball season is here, less than a week away from practice opening up. Super excited to continue to dive into this with you guys each and every day here on Locked On Blue Devils. But right now, with basketball season here, it means that football is fully going. 3 games down for the Blue Devils, 9 left to go in the regular season, fresh off a tough loss on the road at Tulane. 2 things I liked, 2 things I didn't like from that game coming up here in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Almost the weekend, time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more time every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's go ahead and break it down. For Duke football, Darian Mensah delivers in a big way week after week. A return trip for him back to Tulane. Our quarterback throws for over 300 yards in his return against his old squad and 3 touchdowns. Really impressive performance. When the pressure was on, he comes through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Darian Mensah is on a streak. And just like he delivers for Duke football, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only on DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. DoorDash is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Our show today is also brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything, but from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move or be moved. A proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. Let's keep moving forward. Duke football falls to Tulane this past weekend, 34-27, the final score in New Orleans. 2 things I like, 2 things I don't like. We'll start negative and go positive. Talking about this Duke football team this past weekend, one of the things you can't be too thrilled with the Blue Devils is how they lost containment so frequently throughout the game, particularly in the RPO, that run-pass option game that Tulane was using with their transfer quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, who comes over from BYU. He finished the day 15 of 23 passing for 245 yards, no touchdowns, no INTs. The problem, here are those rushing numbers. For the quarterback, Retzlaff, 17 carries, 111 rushing yards, 6.5 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns. 4 rushing touchdowns for their quarterback. That was a program record for Tulane to have a quarterback run for that many touchdowns against the Blue Devils. And when you're running the RPO, your ends are crashing, trying to figure out if the ball's going to be given to the running back, if the quarterback's going to keep it himself, if he's going to have a dump pass over the middle. So many different options. That's why in the modern football game, we're seeing too many different teams using this offense, and it works well. Duke does a little bit of them themselves. We just don't see Mensah run to the level that you see Jake Retzlaff do. But, man, he was running all over the field and kind of taking full control of the game. Really tough to watch that performance from Duke defensively, and it's something that they're going to have to clean up going into these conference games. I mean, at 1-2, there's still a lot to play for in this season, and the year is far from over, but it's going to continue to get more and more difficult each and every week as Duke will get set to take on NC State this weekend. Then they're at Syracuse, they're at Cal before the bye week. So got to make sure they're in a good spot defensively. That was one of the first things that was tough to watch from this Duke football team. The second thing I didn't like from the Blue Devils was the kicking game. Once again, you look at here, it is a 7-point loss for the Blue Devils. 6 points left on the board when Todd Polino goes 2 of 4 in field goal attempts on the season. Kind of a hot or cold career so far for Todd Polino. For the most part, he's been a really reliable kicker for the Blue Devils, but in games like this, you look at momentum swings like that, and if it's not blocked up well, you get the field goal blocks that come into place. If you're putting a lot of pressure on your kickers, then they're prone to miss them, left, right, whatever it may be. I go back to the SMU game that Duke lost at home last season, a couple of different opportunities that Polino had to put it through for Duke. And when you're looking at close games like this, you really need to be able to rely on a kicker. That's so hard to do in college football. We saw an epic game this past weekend, top 15 matchup between Georgia and Tennessee. Tennessee has not beat Georgia in over 8 years, and it comes down to a kick at the end of regulation for the Tennessee kicker, Max Gilbert, who just pulled it. He missed it, and Georgia's able to go on and win in overtime. So really tough when you can't get those extra points that you're looking for and those field goals from your kicker. Hopefully that is something that Duke can improve on. And more than anything, if you score these touchdowns, you're not having to worry about kicking those 3. You're not having to worry about leaving it up to your kicker. There have been a couple of instances so far this season already. I know Kevin Conley has talked about it this week when he's joined us on the show about Duke chasing points a little bit early, not wanting to kick the extra point, going for 2, And when it doesn't work out for the Blue Devils, you've got to find a way to make those points up somewhere, putting more pressure on your kicker. And unfortunately, it just hasn't been working for Duke. All right, two things I like from this game against Tulane. I've made it no secret. I'm a big Darian Mensah guy. He's so fun to watch play football for this Duke team, and just the way Duke's able to air it out with him, not being afraid to throw the football 51 times, 30 of 51 on the day, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. Of course, you want to take care of the football and not have the interception there. But all in all, what he's been able to do, spreading the football around to various wide receivers, extending the play, and he can just make any throw on the football field. His arm talent is ridiculous, and I can definitely see why he started to be evaluated on some of these draft boards. And in the coming years, he's going to have really tough decisions about whether he stays committed to college football or if he's ready to jump up and go to the NFL and start that professional career, just purely based off some of the throws that he's able to make. Now we just need it to turn into some wins for the Duke football team. The second part that I like is a part of the passing game picture as a whole. And we've seen it for a couple of weeks already when you've got a team like Duke who's throwing it as frequently as they are. What's been nice is that they haven't been relying on a singular wide receiver, tight end, running back, whoever it may be. Duke's doing a really nice job this year of spreading the football around. Remember Angelo Anthony and how much he delivered for Duke in that Illinois game? 5 catches, 2 touchdowns. This past week against Tulane, Anthony walks away with just 2 catches for 12 yards because other guys were able to step up in the passing game for Duke. Quayshawn Brown, 6 catches for 81. Barkate had 5 catches. Anderson Castle, the running back, had 6 catches out of the backfield. 4 for the running back, Nate Shepard. Peyton Jones had 2 grabs for Duke. Samir Hagens had the touchdown grab. Chase Tyler, another big pass over the top. Landon King, the transfer tight end who started his career at Auburn, then went to Utah, now plays for Duke. Landon King catches his first touchdown pass of the season for Duke. 10 different players ended the day with the reception for this Duke offense. It's just making it a little bit more difficult for defenses to know who are we trying to scheme up and take passes away from, who are we trying to factor out of this offense defensively. And I love to see Darian Mensah not afraid to throw it to everybody. Like he's trusting so many different wide receivers, running backs, tight ends in the passing game early on. I think it's so big. Now we see Duke get set for this game coming up against NC State on the weekend. The Blue Devils right now, according to our friends over at FanDuel, are favored by 3.5 points, a home game for Duke to open up ACC play. We've had NC State's number the past couple of seasons, and it looks like Duke's trying to put themselves in a position to pick up a win here and then get further into ACC play down the line in this 2-game losing streak. I don't know mentally where this Duke football team would be at if they were to lose this week against NC State, being 1-3, and then looking at some of the games that you'd have coming up in ACC play. That'd be really hard for them to have to figure it out and try to turn it around. So let's speak a win into existence for this Duke team. Let's put together a really nice and impressive day for Darian Mensah at that quarterback spot. NC State has been less than thrilled with their defense so far this season, and so hopefully Duke can have another massive offensive day for them as well. All right, so Duke gets set for NC State this upcoming weekend, but it's not the only sport going on right now. Football, of course, 3 games into the year. We've got more things to look at around Duke athletics. We'll do that here in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today, brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where and why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visualizations, smart categorization of your spending, and finally, feel like you're in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. How incredible is that? I love things like Monarch Money because now I'm able to budget smarter and save more. It truly tells me, JJ, wake up. You're spending too much on things like food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Monarch Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Last segment here today of Locked On Blue Devils, and now it's time for us to take a look around Duke Athletics, some of the other teams that are in full swing here throughout the fall. I will start with the Duke volleyball team, who currently is off to a 3-6 record to start the season. Duke will see ACC play open up next weekend. This weekend, they've got a match coming up against App State and a few others, but ACC play starts next weekend for the Duke volleyball team. They will start against NC State at home, then versus Wake Forest at North Carolina, then a home game against North Carolina, and at Georgia Tech. Those are the first 5 matches of ACC play for Duke volleyball. Again, versus NC State, versus Wake Forest, at UNC, versus UNC, and then at Georgia Tech, the first 5 for Duke. The Duke volleyball team is led by head coach Jolene Nagel, who is in her 27th season at Duke. I really love looking across the athletic directory for Duke Athletics and just seeing how long each of these coaches stay committed to Duke. It goes back to the 42 years that Duke was able to get out of Mike Krzyzewski. Robbie Church has had a great run for Duke in the soccer department. You think about Coach John Danowski and what he's done with Duke lacrosse. David Cutcliffe was there with Duke football for a decade plus. I mean, it's really impressive, the buy-in that these teams have. For Duke, they in those 27 seasons under Coach Nagel in volleyball, 14 seasons have resulted in getting to the NCAA tournament, although it's been a tough stretch here as of late for Duke. Duke has not appeared in the NCAA tournament in volleyball since 2018. So off to a tough 3-6 record to start the year. Let's turn that around. Let's cheer on this Duke volleyball team and hope that they can find themselves back in the NCAA tournament here relatively soon. Duke men's soccer, number 19 in the country, the Blue Devils, 2-0-3, their record to open up the year. So 2 wins, no losses, 3 ties already for head coach John Kerr, who's in his 18th season leading the Duke soccer team. Duke recently played their first ACC game of the year, and it was a tie with Cal by a score of 1-1. This Friday, Duke will play versus Syracuse. Then they've got Howard. Then they've got Louisville take on Everett, Pitt, and Elon. So a couple of non-conference games here mixed in with the early games that Duke has in ACC play. And Friday, they'll take on Syracuse in their second ACC match of the season. But you can look at this Duke men's soccer team. They've got 6 straight matches at home. Great opportunity for Duke to take care of the home field, stack up some wins here in ACC play, and keep this thing moving. And then Duke will be back on the road. Their next road game is not until October 10th, a ways away from now, when Duke will be at Boston College in ACC play there. So there's a look at number 19, Duke men's soccer. Again, 2 wins, no losses, 3 ties through the first 5 matches of the year for the Blue Devils. Now let's talk women's soccer. Really impressive stuff. Duke women's soccer, the number 3 team in the entire country. Duke's got a 6-1-1 record on the season. 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. In ACC play here, Duke is 1-1, losing to number 5 Virginia by a score of 3-1. So a top 5 matchup there. Duke unfortunately suffered their first loss of the year against the Cavaliers, but recently beat Miami 1-0. And the Duke plays tomorrow at Notre Dame in their 3rd ACC match of the season. It's the first of 3 straight road matches for Duke. The women's soccer team this year has been led by Mia Minestrella, who's got 6 goals already. Kat Rader has 5, and then freshman Avery Oder, has 4 goals on the season for Duke. In the net, Caroline Dysart has 17 saves this season. She's got a 0.59 goals against average. So really impressive stuff. Duke soccer on the women's side, one of the top 5 teams in the entire country. Shout out to you guys. Hopefully the winning ways continue for this Duke women's soccer program, and really fun to check in with them and how they're doing throughout the course of the year. We'll see if the good winning ways continue for that bunch. It's been really fun today here on this episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Again, a special shout out to all of the everydayers out there. Be sure to leave us a comment down below if you're an everydayer so I can give a shout out to you. I know we've got Ray down in Naples, Florida, who gives us some love frequently on YouTube. Shout out to Brad Holt, who's in that conversation as well. And all of you guys, let us know. I'd love to give you a shout out on the program as well. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. Got a big Locked On announcement to make for you guys as well to wrap up our show. Another big moment with the Locked On Podcast Network. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present to you Locked On College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. Be sure to check it all out over there for your second listen, second watch today. Make sure you check out Locked On Sports today, and then also go and find Locked On College Basketball wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Our friends Isaac Shade and Andy Patton do a great job keeping you up to date on everything going on in the world of college hoops, and there is a whole lot of Duke basketball conversation as well. Subscribe to us wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Really appreciate all the support that we're getting over there on YouTube. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.